Hey there, YouTube. Well-rounded prepper here. The topic for this video is going to be covering extending the shelf life of your food storage. I've seen a lot of awesome video tours of people's food storage. There's a lot of people that have done a lot of good work in building up their stores and their supplies. But I noticed that a lot of them keep things in the original packaging. Particularly, I'm referencing dry or bagged foods like beans, noodles, oats, that kind of stuff. When I first started with food storage about 15 years ago, I learned pretty quickly about not keeping things in the same package if you want it to last for a while. There's basic rules. The less oxygen that the food is absorbed to, the less oxygen that the food is exposed to, the less sunlight or regular light. So the darker it is, the better. The cooler and more moderate the temperature is, the better. So there's basic rules that if you want your food to last a longer period of time, it would be better to repackage your food. I tend to buy things in bulk a lot, which is why you see here that I have a very large bag of oat bran and it's a half-gallon sized mason jar of noodles. When I have boxes of things that we tend to eat on the regular as a side dish or something, I don't generally do this. It's really primarily just with the bulk things. I will jar it up or I will bag it up. So when I first started with food storage, I started with Mylar, which is aluminum foil bag, and then put an O2 absorber in it and then seal it. That's perfectly fine. I, over time, have found what I prefer, which honestly, my preferred method of extending the shelf life of food is vacuum canning. It's dry canning. I just prefer it. I can't really say why, other than I like the way that it stores. It lasts for a long time. And then something like with noodles, if I were to vacuum seal in a bag, probably it would lose the seal pretty quick. It wouldn't work because the noodles have points and jagged edges that disrupt the seal in the bag. The other reason that I like dry canning is not only can you use some of vacuum sealers have the added function of the oxygen tube and then the lid that goes to the mouth of the jars. You can do that, but if you don't have one of those, you can also dry seal it in the oven, which is really just adding heat. Obviously, you don't want to put a jar full of chocolate chips in there, but something like noodles or oats would work just fine. The other thing that I'll say too with extending the shelf life of food, you want to make sure when you do bring the food home, and this is true whether you're buying in bulk or not, if you get multiples of something like multiple boxes of Jiffy corn muffin mix or Rice-A-Roni or something, if you're storing multiples, the best thing that you can do with that or flour is to let it spend a few days in the freezer. And that would be to prevent weevils or other eggs from hatching. So you don't open up your product to find a bunch of bugs in a few years. That I've done that. I've had that happen. It's not a pleasant surprise. So just wanted to give you some things to think about. These oats I've had for 5 years now, past the use by date. And when I open up a bag, they're just as fresh as the day that I got them. I think the other reason that I like dry canning is that storing it in glass, the product is not as likely to take on a plasticky flavor. Now, I said it, and it's true, the oats and the other things that I have stored in the bags, they don't take on a flavor of plastic. But I have noticed in the past, like when I kept bags of beans that you buy at the store for like a couple of dollars, keeping those in the original bag they came in, or rice, after a few years of storage, they take on the flavor of the plastic. I'm not sure if it's just because it's a different strength of plastic or different type, but it was not pleasant when I ended up cooking it. It tasted pretty yucky. So another reason why I prefer dry canning. But I would encourage you to find the method that fits you the best. There are other methods out there. Some things that I've done in the past is I kept product in the original box and I just Glad press and sealed the box. I just wrapped it in some Glad press and seal, and that helped to keep oxygen out, which helped the product to store longer. There's storing things in plastic containers. But again, you just kind of have to look at the quality of the food after you stored it for a few years. And sometimes that's just something that you have to live and learn. But I hope that this video gives you some ideas, things that you can do to make food storage last a little bit longer, particularly items that you buy in bulk. And if you have any suggestions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. Love to open up a dialogue. Otherwise, I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. God bless.